Recording of the roll, please.
All present.
Item C, approval of the consent agenda.
I see that there was a modification of the minutes of the last meeting, so I'll make a motion we approve the consent agenda as amended.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Seymour, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to approve the consent agenda with the amendments to the minutes. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Mildred.
Yes.
Seymour.
Yes.
Tower.
Yes.
Corcoran. Yes. Berto.
Yes. Motion carries. Item D, approval of the agenda.
I'll make a motion we approve the agenda.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Seymour, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to approve the agenda as presented. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Item E, citizens wishing to address the commission on items on the agenda. A 3-minute limit. Yes, please come up to the podium and please state your name and address.
Ironwood, and I also own the property at 647 Huron Street. I'm concerned about your topic in section 8, primarily due to the 2 letters that the city received last summer concerning the erosion on the slope on the south side of the Little League field. And I quote, as it be implemented, that will result in taking plans undertake temporary permits for permanent measures that will stabilize smoking surface and plastic stopping and on ground with penalties of up to $2,500 per day. Second letter, same subject, with penalties up to $25,000. So I want to know what kind of permits the city has come up with in the last 5 months. Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you. And that was in reference to item H. Item G.
G. He has to.
He said H.
He said H.
I can, if you'd like, I can touch on that in my
Summary?
weekly, yeah, my information summary, sure.
Any other public comment? Citizens wishing to address the commission on items not on the agenda? None? Moving on. Old business, item G. Discuss and consider adopting the 2016 and 17 City Commission goals.
Thank you. I'll just touch briefly on this item. You do have the list of goals that actually about a month ago we sat down, a workshop with the City Commission, and as a group you've identified the goals you'd like to see addressed, accomplished. Well, this isn't everything we work on in the city. There's many, many more things that everybody's involved in. But this is your set of goals that you've identified as a group. And going through that, you can see there's a number of different things that are ranked by points. There was a point system that was used to identify priority. And again, it doesn't mean that something has a lower point system that we won't get to it. It just identifies, your perspective and your a limited number of points you could use, so it kind of helped everybody focus on what are the top priorities that we need to really take a strong look at over the next year and 2 years. So you see the list here. I won't go through the whole list. It's very comprehensive, everything from completing our 16-inch transmission main that goes out to our well field to transparency and communication with the public, and a whole variety of things in between. What we'd like you to do is, adopt the goals. If this is, what you had intended, we had taken the information we had received during that workshop. We also will be identifying a project driver on each of these items, and that can be everything from a staff person to a city commissioner. So if it's something you're passionate about and want to put some additional resources of your time into, let us know either now or afterwards, and we'll put your name down to any one of these topics that you feel you want to have more input in. Again, that doesn't mean that the others will be ignored, because they'll all be looked at. A staff member will be identified, and to basically spearhead each one of these type of topics and move it forward, come up with a small action plan and see how we can move that forward. So, yes, Rick?
I would suggest that we could meet with you one-on-one and talk about what we're personally interested and passionate
Sure.
about. And,
Absolutely. Mhm.
And move forward with it that way.
Whatever the wish of the council is.
Like that.
Commission.
That's fine.
Instead of sitting here and going, I'll do
Sure.
this.
Probably more effective that way. And again, like I say, everyone will have a driver. It's just a matter of, might have multiple people working on one project, but that's a good thing. The more people we have pushing something, forward, and, sometimes it get done more efficiently or have a different view, a set of eyes working on it, so.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we adopt the goals that we have presented to us in our packet.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Mildren, to adopt goals as presented in our packet. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. New business. Item H, discuss and consider status of the city attorney position.
Well, to start out, if we could give a round of applause to Mr. Pope, who position here, so it's very nice to see that. We do have Tim Dean here. The law firm Dean and Pope is who the city has hired for city attorney, and Tim Dean has joined us here tonight, and we've had some discussion with the transition that will be occurring here. Michael is still effectively city attorney for the next 2 weeks. I forget what the date was.
January 28th.
Okay. And then we'll be transitioning to, I would assume, Tim, but that's a discussion item for the city commission. We wanted Tim to come in here and meet with you guys if there's any questions you have of him. Now's the time to ask and see what your pleasure is as far as a city attorney position. And the city attorney, again, is appointed by the city commission.
Well, I've been very happy with Mr. Pope, and he's done a very good job for us, and I feel very comfortable moving on with his partner, Tim Dean. They have information that they can share with each other, have our information on file, so I would be very comfortable with moving on forward with Mr. Dean.
I agree with you totally.
I very much have enjoyed working with Mr. Pope. Congratulations on your new position. And I agree with Commissioner Corcoran that I'm very comfortable with Mr. Dean.
I'm good with it.
Certainly am too. So, although we did make a motion a few weeks back to appoint the firm, I think we would like a confirmation of that appointment. So if anybody would like to entertain a motion to that effect.
Sure, I will make a motion that we appoint, select, confirm Mr. Dean as our city attorney.
Support?
Motion by Commissioner Semos, seconded by Commissioner Corcoran to confirm the appointment of Tim Dean and the law firm of Dean and Pope for the remainder of the 2-year term. Discussion? Roll call, please.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildren?
Yes.
Berto?
Yes.
And Mr. Dean and Mr. Pope will have to leave. They have another prior engagement, but they did come in and want to talk with the commission and answer any questions you might have. So they are leaving, but not because they're not interested in what's going on. Right?
Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
We'll miss you, Mike.
Yeah, thank you. I hope to be back at your next meeting. And everyone will be invited to the investiture on the 28th, so I'll be looking, I'll try to get out the invites in the next few days. So I, of course, want everyone to be present if they can.
Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you. Bye-bye. Good night. Item I, discuss and consider awarding bid to Kleiman Pump and Well Drilling Incorporated in the amount of $27,170 for the well rehabilitation well number 201.
We opened up 2 bids. Kleiman was the lower bid. And Kleiman's been doing one for us as long as I remember. Eric Kleiman is here to answer my questions. This money has been budgeted for.
Bob, do you want to go through what this work is? It's really a proactive approach to maintaining our well field and what it all includes. It's very comprehensive.
Casing and every project explained it better than I do, but well number 201, we're just throwing a number out there. We're pumping 300 gallons a minute, our production went down to 200 gallons a minute. What Climate would do, they would go clean the well casing, the formation and everything, to try to get us back up to 3, maybe 3.5. So we should be doing this on a routine basis. This is going to be the first one we're going to do. We want to try to get another well next year, the following year, and then put your routine back where you're going to have cleaner well, better production, more efficient for, electrical.
They check the pumps and motors. It's really a good cycle to have in place. So once every, whatever it might be, 7 or 10 years, you'll be rotating your wells through and doing a full check of the well, making sure everything's in good shape, rehabbing the formation, like Bob said, to make sure we're getting the maximum water we can out of the aquifer. So
we've had this on the capital improvement list for the last 4 or 5 years. Now is the time that we have time and we have money to do this.
Okay.
I'll make a motion, we award the bid described in item I.
Second.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Tower, to award the bid as described in item I. Discussion? Roll call vote, please.
Power? Yes.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildren?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Birchall?
Yes. Thank you. Motion carries. Item J, discuss and consider confirmation of ownership of Public Safety Department duty weapon.
So a little bit of a history lesson here, because this was before my time. So what happened is back in 1999, 2000, our officers carried 9mm community weapons. They were high, what's the word? They were high capacity magazines. So due to the Brady bill, we could not resell these guns. And typically we trade in our guns, but the company did not want trade-in, so the guns were given to the officers that owned them at the time. Some of the officers put them in their names and used them as personal use. Some of the officers kept them and used them as a backup weapon. Being law enforcement, we do not register our handguns.
Do not.
We do not register our handguns. By law, we do not have them. So as a backup weapon, this gun was not registered. So here we are, 15 years later, went to register the 9mm firearm, and it's not registered. So there was some confusion. The gun was given to the officer, but now that he went to register it, he didn't feel comfortable should he register being 15 years later. Is it considered his or is it considered the city? The city provides a primary weapon. All secondary weapons are provided by the officer. So, for example, I carry 45. I could purchase a 40 cal out of my own money as a backup weapon. That's why he kept this as a backup weapon. So that's the cloudiness. He was concerned, now if he puts it in his name, does that create because it's viewed as his weapon, but 15 years ago, he did not put it into his name. It creates some confusion who owns the gun. So we're looking for some clarification from the city commission.
What do you recommend on this?
My understanding, this was back in 2000, I started in 2004, when the gun was given to him. It's not a practice we use now. The current practice now, when we went to the 45s, the officers were allowed to purchase their 40 caliber weapons for the trade-in cost. And the reason we don't go out for bids, is we don't want to sell handguns to our community. Could we, that's just a personal preference that we should not. So technically the gun was given to him. His failure to register it, because he didn't have to register it immediately. It was a secondary weapon. He kept it in his gun locker. Created some confusion. If he would have registered it right away, it would have been his weapon. So that's why we viewed it as his weapon, but we just wanted some clarification.
kind of confused. I'm not too sure exactly where to go with this. Are you asking us to say that we feel that he owns the gun and we approve his ownership? But
That's, yeah, pretty much in a nutshell. We wanted to clarify that. That was the intent. It sounds like back in roughly 2000 when this took place. And again, we want to make sure that it's all well documented. And our recommendation is to confirm that, because that was the intent, what we understand, that was to occur back at that point in time.
So basically, we're confirming the donation that was made 15 years ago or something.
Yep, that confirmed that it is in fact that officer's weapon and not the city's.
Is there any documentation of any sort that this weapon was given to this person at all?
Joe Garrett at stage used the director at that time. The reason why they were given their 9mm were that they were high-capacity magazines under the Brady bill at that time, which is now expired. We're not allowed to sell to citizens because it held an excessive amount of ammunition. And then there was no trade-in value at that time, so that's why they gave them to the officers. The other option would have been to destroy them. And I believe I can't put on one, but many of the officers did keep theirs. They registered them to themselves. The only reason why this one kind of fell through cracks is he kept it as a secondary weapon. It did not have to be registered until he wanted to use this person.
So again, Cole, I'm saying.
So how can, we're not using any names here so far. How can we confirm the donation of a weapon to someone without knowing who we're doing that?
I can confirm it just by speaking to the previous director.
No, but I mean, how do we word it? You know, how do we, if I'm going to say...
Who the officer that has it, the officer is Mike Rimkus.
Okay.
Just, yeah, sorry about that.
It's pretty important.
Yes.
Basically, it's sat in the bottom of his locker for 15 years.
I will make a motion that the City Commission confirm the donation of the indicated weapon to Officer Rimkus.
Support.
Motion by Commissioner Semo, seconded by Commissioner Tower, to confirm the ownership of the indicated weapon to Officer Rimkus. Discussion? A roll call? Yeah, okay.
Corcoran?
Yes.
Mildred?
Yes.
Semo?
Yes.
Tower?
Yes.
Virgil?
Yes.
And in the near future, we will be creating a policy to address.
It's a little odd.
Unique situation, but I don't want to see it happen.
Can I ask a brief question? Even though you don't have to register the guns within your department, do you register serial numbers or any way to identify them?
In-house registries, so we know all of our magazines, all of our guns
Okay,
within the department itself.
okay, great. Just curious.
We have a well-documented,
Good, okay.
and the state could audit us to make sure that we can have.
Okay.
Very important.
Good. Moving on to item K, discuss and consider authorizing bids for the sale of seized property from the Ironwood Public Safety Department.
In your package, you'll have a list of seized items. I'll be a little history on how seized items work within our department. Our giant team does drug seizures throughout the year. They're very active. And anything, items that they seize, such as vehicles, property, money, they can seize those assets and use them towards future drug work, such as purchasing equipment, doing buys, any drug work activity. So basically, they seize a lot of property, money, vehicles to offset their costs. It doesn't pay for all of their costs, but it helps with their operations. So I think there was 12 or 14 items.
20.
19 of those items are for the current team.
How many?
So 19 of them. So out of those 19 items, that money will go back on the drug fund for them to use for their operations. The one other item that we have seized will be seized for public safety, but that has to be used for police activity, so it's not supposed to be used for manpower.
Just out of curiosity, how does the titling work on seized things when you say bought a vehicle? If someone buys a vehicle,
For example, right now, the Chevy Impala, or item number 5 or 6, the Chevy Impala, we seize it into our name, so right now it's in Ironwood Public Safety's name. If you were to win the bid, then you would come and we would transfer the title to you.
so have you have already done some legal process to take ownership of all of these
Yes, they
items?
go through a 20-day process. The whole process takes probably 40 days.
Okay.
So legally obtain these. And they do, the person they seize them to has a process they go through to argue why they need their property back. It's decided in court and
Okay.
they've been very successful with their seizure process.
I would make that motion then, to authorize the sale of seized property.
I'll second.
Motion by Commissioner Mildren, seconded by Commissioner Semo to authorize the sale of seized property as described in item K.
I have another question or two. I'm kind of curious about this stuff myself, but when do you anticipate that the actual auction will take place, bid opening?
Now that we've approved it, we will probably put these up for a bid in next week. And we kind of put them in an area where they can be viewed. So once we have the time to set them up in our conference, the vehicles are parked out back.
Okay.
Hopefully, Mr. Richards can help us unbury some of those and see ideas on this car lot behind we have separate cars. Like I said, it's not, I don't know how to take this, majority of the vehicles are through driving, so it's their great work. And they'll be available for you probably within the next 7 to 10 days.
And we'll be putting ads in the paper and
We put ads in the paper, we do mail them home to our car dealerships, to drive some vehicles. There's a nice mechanic set, so we will out to some of the local garages.
Okay.
The more we can get it open, the
Right.
more money we expect.
Okay. Motion has been made and seconded. Do we need a roll call or regular? All in favor? Yes. Opposed? Motion carries. Item L, Manager's Report.
Just a few items to cover. Again, kicking off the new year, we're getting things geared up for this upcoming year with projects and things such as that, so you'll be seeing more and more things coming in front of you over the next month or two. Just a few things to highlight. I think we'll probably all touch on this, but we've had 2 great events in the area over the last few weeks, the Snowmobile Olympus and the Sisu Cross Country Ski Race. So again, 2, really, I'll call them world-class events that bring a lot of people to the area, and it's just done by the volunteers that, we are so lucky to have here. So I won't add to that. I do want to mention, I was talking to Commissioner Mildren here a while back, and he had a really good idea about trying to bring these organizations in and some of these volunteers in and recognize them publicly with a nice plaque and things like that. So we'll start doing that at some of our meetings, bringing some of these groups in and really letting you and the community thank them for all their efforts. The Community Development Office has received proposals for the branding efforts. We've talked about the branding of the city, and again, those are being reviewed this week. They will be analyzed by a panel to help make a recommendation that will ultimately come back. Is that going to go to the Planning Commission and City Commission, Michael? Or right to the City Commission at probably the next meeting, unless there's questions. So, okay, so that's in the works, and you'll be seeing that here shortly. We're also working with the contractor that was hired at the last meeting regarding the demolition of 6 additional blighted structures in town. City Commission did award the bids for that. They are going through the environmental remediation process. If their home has any kind of asbestos or whatever in it, that has to be removed. And then, again, weather permitting, they will be starting on some demolition work maybe within the next few weeks if the weather cooperates. And just as a reminder, there'll be 5 additional structures beyond that will be coming to you, over the next month or so to authorize going out for bids, and that would complete the 27 properties that we're working on under the Blight Grant. We did receive bids for the Carnegie Library renovation. Again, that is a grant through the State Historic Society to help with some building maintenance, basically, some tuck pointing, some of the lintels or the window trim is in bad shape, things like that, some maintenance to the building. So again, we are analyzing the bids with the people down at the state, and we will be bringing that back to you for review here shortly. We also, with the City Commission at the next meeting, we are going to have another workshop at 4:30, Paul? And that's going to be with MERS. MERS is the organization that does the city's retirement package. They manage it for us. So we will have the MERS representative here. They'll be going through some things, some changes that they're working on. I think you've probably been all hearing about this. They're making some different assumptions on how they calculate retirement obligations for communities. So it actually is a good segue to get into that as we get into the budget process, because there'll be some budget things we'll have to talk about relative to that. But 4:30 we'll workshop it. She'll educate us a little more. It would be a nice segue as we start going into the budget, the next budget development process for the city here. So again, we'll put a notice out and send you out a reminder on that. There was a question on the Little League field. Again, working with the Little League folks and a lot of volunteers. The slope on the bank, at least as of last fall, they had put down fiber blanket and had seeded that area. The seed had started coming in. There was some sloughing. They'll have to go back in the spring again, touch that up, and basically get that turf established, get the grass to start growing over there. So again, back in the spring, they'll touch that up. And again, they did a nice effort last fall to get that fiber blanket down and start stabilizing that slope. But they're not done yet. They'll have to touch it up again in the spring.
Okay.
That's the end of my report.
Thank you. Item M, other matters. Any other matters? No.
Well, I'll go. Well, we've had some really good events, like Scott had mentioned, since our last meeting, so just a big thank you to the volunteers for the Snowmobile Olympus and the CISO. Again, great group of volunteers in our community. Also, next meeting, I will be asking for the support of resolution to oppose Public Act 269. I'll get the information to the commissioners and get the information to Scott. But in a nutshell, December 17th, the House kind of had a bill that went up from 12 pages to 53 pages, and I don't think everybody had an understanding of it. The new law prohibits a public body or person acting for a public body from using public funds or resources for the purpose of communicating any information to electorate regarding a local ballot question that appears on a ballot within 60 days of an election. The law places an immediate gag order on entities with ballot questions on the March 8th ballot and every election thereafter. And I know our voters are entitled to have local officials describe ramifications, and pretty much this public act puts a gag on us and we will not be able to do that. So I will get information for you out. Just thought I would give you a heads up on that. So,
Thank you.
that is all I have.
And I would just like to say that in my position, both here and with the Gogebic County Transit and with SISU, I came into contact with hundreds of people that came here to ski, race, take in the activities, and the overwhelming number of those people said, man, I could live in this town. I absolutely love Ironwood. I love the way that business and government and people volunteering work together. So you have to understand what you have here. It's just an amazing effort that's taking place. It's wonderful. Thank you all.
Thank you. Anybody else? Motion to adjourn.
I'll make that motion.
Second?
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
I'm gonna miss these people. I got to work with them on negotiations.
Oh, you been?
He's got a lot of head.
I'm sure that's